I'm Ross Gallabrese, executive editor of the Herald-Star, and I want to welcome you all to the second in a series of special editions of Ohio Valley this week. Actually, we're in the run-up to election 2014, and one of the big issues overall that's going to face voters in the city of Steubenville are 13 proposed changes to the city charter to help make it easier for voters to make an informed decision when they head to the poll. We're breaking down and taking a look at all of those proposed changes. As always, I'm joined by Paul Giannamore.
Good day.
And we're also joined today by John Mascio, the city's former law director who chaired the Charter Review Commission. Welcome back, John.
Thank you.
Okay. In the first segment, we looked at the proposed changes for issues 1 through 4, and today we're going to look at changes 5 through 8. Okay. So, John, issue 5. Now, this is one I know that has created a lot of discussion around town, and that deals with changing the eligibility requirements for city manager candidates and outlines the process for designating an acting city manager.
I think every member of the commission had people approach them and request a change in the requirements to be appointed city manager. The way in which it is presently written, it's pretty restrictive as to who you can hire, and almost impossible to hire anybody local into that position. So we looked at that and tried to write it up in a way that it would be broader in its application so that more people would be eligible to apply for the job.
It's been an issue right back to 1984. If anyone remembers, our first city manager was a very experienced man who was manager in Weirton, and he didn't qualify to manage Steubenville after he was hired.
Well, the educational requirements stay the same. And then we made some changes with respect to the experience. 2 years experience as a manager/administrator or assistant manager/administrator for any municipality, and we added in or county because some counties have county administrators. Or comparable experience in those positions with any municipality or county. Or, and this is maybe one of the biggest changes, 5 years experience as an executive officer or chief fiscal officer of any business or governmental entity. So somebody who's run a business for 5 years would qualify, or if they were the financial officer of some entity, they could qualify, and we don't have that at the present time.
And I've heard that said 1,000 times over the years, if I've heard it once, and that's that the manager is the CEO of the city, so...
Basically, he is.
Right. So that would follow. What about the acting manager changes?
Well, then it's going to depend upon how long the person is not there. If the city manager is going to be, say, on vacation, for example, and we spent a lot of time on this, had a lot of input from different people, and we finally worded it up that the city manager would designate the person within the city that he felt was the most qualified to act in his stead, rather than us designate a particular office holder. Thought he should know who the best person is that could do his job. And that's how we wrote it up.
Could that be, is that from the non-elected administrative service or, the mayor? Or it could be anybody?
It could be the mayor. It could be the engineer. It could be M&R superintendent, anybody he feels is best qualified to handle the job in his absence.
Okay.
That's on a temporary basis.
Right. Now, what about when we're in that transition time between managers?
If we're in between, council's going to designate somebody.
Okay.
Great. Okay, moving on to issue 6, which outlines qualifications for personnel in the police and fire departments.
That was another topic that engendered a lot of discussion on the part of everybody. There were those who felt that the position of fire chief and police chief should be opened to qualified applicants from outside the present ranks of the police department or the fire department. And I guess a lot of cities do that, open it up. So we wrote it up in a way that this can be done, but there is a provision in the law, and the courts have held that if there is a collective bargaining agreement that spells out how that position is to be filled, that collective bargaining agreement supersedes any charter provisions or any statutory language that you have. So the fire department has language that says that the fire chief's position shall be filled from within the ranks from eligible applicants. The police department does not have that in their contract. So we put language in that basically said that absent any language to the contrary in a collective bargaining agreement, you can go outside the city.
Legal question there as a judge. That just seems so backwards. It'd be like a law being allowed to be unconstitutional in just this one spot, wouldn't it?
Courts have held that the collective bargaining agreement will trump the city charter provisions.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is. That is.
All right. Issue 7, that covers the qualifications for the chiefs in the fire department and the police department.
It isn't a whole lot different that we now have. They're required to have a bachelor's degree in public safety administration. In the case of the police chief, he also has to have a degree in criminal justice or a related field, and so many years' experience as a captain or higher. Fire chief is the same thing. They have to have educational requirements plus so much experience as a captain/inspector or higher. And then whatever other licenses are required to be a firefighter in the first place or a police officer in the first place. Chief is under the direction and supervision of the city manager. I think he is now, but we just spelled it out, made it clear. And then we put in that vacancies would be filled, and this is the language I just talked about, absent language to the contrary in a collective bargaining agreement, that's how it would be filled. And once the applicants are looked at and reviewed, the city manager will make a recommendation and council will approve.
Okay.
So it's with the advice and consent of
Council. Great. Okay, issue 8, that looks at qualifications for the city's finance director and disciplinary powers of supervisors in the public works department.
Well, we felt that the finance director should have a degree in financing, accounting, business administration.
That makes sense.
It wasn't in there.
Might
That wasn't in there.
And we felt they should also have at least 2 years' experience in the accounting field.
Good.
And a lot of people don't look at city government or county government as a business, but you're talking a multi-million-dollar business and budgets that are in that range. So we felt that they should have some educational training and some degree that would assist them in their job. Department of Public Works will be consisting of the street, refuse, water, wastewater, engineering, planning, and zoning, and whatever other divisions council deems necessary. We talked about that on the last segment. And then we put in a provision that the supervisors within the Public Works division have the right to recommend suspension, but if it's immediate danger to the public or to other employees, they can issue a suspension on the spot.
Okay.
Okay, good.
And then we just to touch on it real quick. And this is a recommendation to the city engineer that there be a degree in civil engineering or related field and 5 years experience in management of the municipal public works program, 3 years of which in a supervisor or management position. And it's not going to affect the present city engineer because he's been there, but he's looking down the road at the future as to what he felt should be there. And he also gave us some suggestions dealing with the building inspector. There's certain certifications that need to be required in order to get somebody to administer the building codes.
I'm sure this isn't in the purview of the Charter Review Commission, and you can just tell me I'm not going to answer that. But are we building a certain amount of price creep into this? I mean, these guys with these degrees tend to get more expensive, or?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't. I really don't.
Okay, good.
All right. Well, there you have it. Those are issues 5 through 8. First segment, we looked at issues 1 through 4. Third segment, we're going to look at 9, 10, and 11. And the fourth segment, we're going to look at issues 12 and 13. Paul?
I think we're hopefully providing a good bit of insight into how the commission came to what it, the discussions went on for months. And it's good to be able to explain this to folks because there's a laundry list coming at the ballot box.
Right. Right.
Well,
No.
hopefully they'll understand the explanations I'm giving.
We're going to keep working on this all the way up till election, too. Maybe not just in Ohio Valley this week. So.
That's right. And you can keep following the run-up to Decision 2014 by reading your Herald-Star and Weirton Daily Times daily. Or if you don't have access to the printed publication, you certainly want to have access to our e-editions, right, Paul?
All access. If you're a print subscriber, all you need to do is go to the website and validate, which, again, we're more than happy to talk you through that procedure. I think just about everyone in this building is able to help you go through that procedure. And if you're not a subscriber, you need to get off the schneid.
Right. And if you like these beautiful mugs, you can find them at the Herald-Star online store. I'm Ross Gallabrese.
Paul Giannamore.
John Mascio.
For Ohio Valley this week.